Well, happy Friday, everybody. Nice to see those names up on screen. Hope to see a couple faces at the end. Maybe turn on a camera at the end if you want to wave and say hi. Happy to be here. I'm Rachel. If anyone's popping in and seeing this recording at a later date, local physical therapist and Pilates instructor. We've got a 45-minute flow style class planned for today. Nothing necessary as far as equipment except for your mat or something probably cushioned to stand and lie down on, which it'll probably feel better. Something to help with balance at the end if you do need something to hold on to keep yourself steady when you're in a narrow base or on one leg. That might be nice to have something nearby, a wall, a sofa, a chair, or even a foam roller, something that'll just give you a little bit of balance input. Might be nice to have. We'll move through at a pace that I set, but I do want you to feel free to go a little slower or a little quicker as you feel the need to for your body. Every day is an adventure. Every day is a little bit different. So something that felt great last time you did it might not feel so awesome today, or vice versa. It might feel great to do something that was more of a challenge or irritating last week. I want you to listen to your body and move on or modify as you need. I'll do my best to give a few modifications as we go through the class. But let's go ahead and get ourselves started. Let me get my timer set up right in front of that mat, and we're going to start standing. All right, let's stand right in the middle of that mat. Let's get our feet a little bit wider apart than our shoulders, and we're going to turn the toes out so they point toward each of the front and bottom corners of your room. Soften up your knees, and I want you to press the base of your big toe and the base of your pinky toe nice and firmly into the floor. We're going to shift our weight, shift forward to the toes, shift back toward the heels. We're mainly going to feel that big toe as our stopping point in front, but I do want you to see if you can keep that pinky toe anchored into the mat. That'll let us keep those arches nice and lifted and supported for the body. Shift forward and back, take the hands right to the midsection. And as we move our weight forward and back, if you press your fingertips into that midsection, you might feel that core turning on and off a little bit, depending on where in the range you are. If you draw your belly and your spine a little closer together, like we're activating a little corset of muscles around that trunk, you might feel a little bit more. Let's shift the weight back toward the heels, and we're going to take the arms up and overhead. Big breath in, reach those fingertips to the ceiling. We'll exhale out and down with the arms. Again, big breath in, arms come up and up overhead. We're going to pause with the fingertips reaching the ceiling, and let's drop our shoulder blades down toward the hips. We're going to feel a little stretch from armpit, maybe even all the way down to the top side of that waistline. Holding there, I want you to shift your weight so you're right over those heels. And we're going to take some side bends. Arc up toward the ceiling and then over toward that opposite top side of the room. We want to keep everything waistline and below nice and still. And as we hit that end range where we can control that side bend, let's take that arm on the side we're reaching toward right down to that foot. Keeping the belly engaged, we should feel a little bit of a length between the lowest ribs and the top of that pelvis on the side we're moving away from. We'll inhale back up tall, reach those fingertips to the ceiling, and let's exhale to the other side. Navel stays engaged and drawn back to the spine. We'll drop that arm on the side we're reaching toward right down to that foot. And again, feel some length, feel some stretching, and also feel some effort through the front of the core to keep that body nice and straight. Let's inhale up tall. We'll exhale our arms out to a T. Let's line those hands up with the shoulders. If we need to take them down a little lower for comfort to that chest, that's fine. We're going to keep our palms facing the screen, and let's bring those hands back slightly toward the wall behind us, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Can we pulse a little bit here? I want you to modify the range as you see fit. I want that neck nice and still. And I want you to picture a string pulling the crown of your head all the way up to the ceilings as we pulse. Pause those hands slightly in front of trunk height, and then spinning those shoulders in the sockets. We're going to make some circles with our fingertips on the walls out to either side. We want to picture our collarbones and those arms stretching away from the center of the body, elongating away from that breastbone. We'll feel those upper arms doing a little bit of work here. Let's circle forward, circle toward that screen, reaching those fingertips out to either wall. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Big breath in. Exhaling, rotate from your breastbone. Turn that upper trunk toward the wall to one side. Inhale back to the center. The arms are going along for the ride. Exhale, rotate. Turn those breastbones toward the other wall. Inhale, center. Exhale, rotate. Hip bones and pelvis stays facing the screen. Inhale, center. One more time. Exhale, rotate toward that opposite wall. We'll inhale back to the center. Finally, let's bring those arms down. Roll those shoulders back and down. Let those upper arm muscles release as we bring our feet into a slightly narrower base of support. Now we're going to line up our feet parallel to each other. Heels are right below our sit bones. Let's settle our weight toward the toes and toward the heels again. Shift forward and back. And this time what I want you to do is come right over the center of the front of your ankles, right where your shoelaces would be, where would you to be wearing sneakers at this point. And from here, we're going to take our fingertips to the front of the waistline and the thumbs to the back of the waistline. And let's soften the knees a bit, bend them up a touch. We're going to shift our weight side to side and feel those muscles kick in right underneath your fingertips as we load one leg and as we load the other. We'll feel a little movement underneath the fingertips and the thumbs. We're going to move in circles, shifting the weight toward the toes, toward the outer ankle, and toward the heel, toward the other outer ankle. If we had a pencil coming up from the crown of the head, it would be drawing a circle right on the ceiling above us. Pause with the weight toward the toes, breathe it in. And as we exhale, we're going to circle the other way. Keep drawing that circle. Our pivot point is our ankles. Everything else is shifting as one unit. Let's bring our body weight over those toes. Spread those toes apart a touch and pressing the big toe and pinky toe into the mat. Maybe we can unweight our heels just a touch. As we take the weight forward toward the toes, press those fingertips a little more firmly into that midsection. And maybe we can raise up a little bit higher onto those toes. If you do need to hold something or put your fingertips on something stable, go ahead and do so. And as we come up as high as we can on those toes with control, we're going to feel those core muscles kicking in a little more firmly. Hold there, take a big breath in wherever you are in the height of that motion. And exhaling, we keep the weight forward toward the toes as we lower our heels down. Once the heels touch that mat, let's shift our weight right back over the center of the ankles, shake out those knees. Arms come down as well. We'll give those shoulders one more roll back and down. And let's make a quarter turn and face lengthwise along that mat. We're going to be prepared to now make our way down to the floor. We have a couple of things to do in standing before we do so, but if you will need extra padding for those knees, go ahead and grab yourself a rolled up towel and place it on the floor by the mat so that when we get to hands and knees, you'll have a little extra underneath those bony prominences. Coming back toward the back edge of our mat, give yourself maybe 6 inches from the heels to the back edge of your mat. We're going to get our weight centered over the heels now. Soften the knees, bend them up a touch, and then take your tailbone, point it back to the wall behind you as we hinge forward from the hips and take the crown of the head forward. If you want to keep your hands in the small of your back, you're welcome to. We want to try to keep that pelvis nice and still versus too much of a curl or too much of an arch. We should feel a little stretch or a little pause in motion between the backs of the knees and those inner thighs and also those sit bones. We're going to hold here with the hands on the hips. Let's give those knees a little wiggle. Straighten and bend the knees a touch within the range where you can move, keeping that low back nice and still. And as we wiggle those knees, we're going to feel lengthening through the hamstring. And then we turn that stretch off by bending knees again. Straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. One more time. Straighten a bit. Bend those knees back. Soften them up enough that we can shift our weight a touch back further. So our center of gravity is right over the ankles now. We're going to draw our hands toward the floor and then let's row. Squeeze the shoulder blades, elbows tuck in by the waistline, and then press those arms to the floor. Squeeze and row for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Press those triceps straight, elbows straight behind the back, bend them up. Press them straight and bend. Straighten and bend. Straighten and hold. Big breath in here. As we exhale now, our hands sweep down toward the floor. Let's reach those fingertips down. Bend the knees and take your time getting down there. We're going to walk ourselves down to hands and knees. Once the knees touch the floor, decide if you want that extra padding and then feel free to go ahead and put it under your knees right above the tops of the shins. We're going to line ourselves up here now with wrists and shoulders, knees and hips lined up vertically with each other. Keep the tops of the toes turned down, pressing the balls of the feet to the floor. And we're going to draw our bellies gently toward the spine. Let's rock the bottom back toward the heels and then right back up to all fours. Press that bottom back, take it up to all fours. The curve in the back is staying nice and still. If you had a vase of flowers balanced right in that curve, ideally we'd like you to be able to get that bottom back without losing that object. One more time, rock it back. Take it up tall to all fours, and we're going to curl that body through cats, curling the pubic bone toward the breastbone. Release, reversing direction, tailbone to the ceiling, breastbone forward toward the wall. Again, curl, reverse and lengthen. One more time, curl to cat, reverse and lengthen. Taking that trunk right back to neutral, wag your tail side to side, taking a hip to each shoulder. Take it right back to the middle. We're going to flip the tops of the feet down to the floor. Feet come together, take those knees apart, and we're going to press our bottoms down toward the heels. Hold it there, and let's walk those hands toward the front of the mat. Walk or slide them forward. As we inch toward a position where we feel a stretch underneath the arms, maybe through the armpits, maybe even all the way down to the elbows, I want you to find a tolerable range you can move through. We can bend the elbows to add a little slack in the system if we need to. And let's drop that forehead toward the floor. Take a big breath in. Exhaling, we're going to wrap our shoulders around the front of the body. That'll lengthen us out through that upper back, through those ribs. And let's alternate. Lower one armpit toward the floor and then the other. We're rotating our breastbone slightly toward one wall and then slightly toward the other. Keep that little side to side wiggle going for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Taking that breastbone, that trunk, and those armpits right back to face the floor. We're going to drop the elbows down if they're not already there and shift the weight forward over those forearms. Upper arms are vertical. Press those shoulder blades to the floor and let's make our way down to the mat. We're going to open up those hips toward the floor in front of us. Keep the belly gently drawn to the spine as we come to rest on our upper thighs just below our hips. We're going to hold this position here. Let's let the shoulder blades squeeze back behind the body. The breastbone comes down toward the floor. Reverse and press the other direction. Squeeze them together, press them toward the floor. Squeeze those blades behind the back, press them toward the floor and hold. And we're going to shift our weight now side to side, pushing the floor away with those forearms. Feel your underarm muscles working and the muscles right to the outside borders of those shoulder blades, working nice and firmly to hold you still and lift it up off the floor as we shift our weight. Let's take it right back to the middle. Big breath in. As we exhale, we're going to turn to make our way down to the mat. So let's shift our weight away from the screen, pressing the floor away with that arm. Tuck the far arm underneath the body, and let's roll to come to a resting position on our backs. Arms are by the sides, heels are lined up with our sit bones, and those feet, knees, and hips are equal distance apart from each other. Thighs are parallel, and knees are pointing upward toward the wall in front of us. Let's picture that pelvic clock right in our midsection. 12 up toward the breastbone, 6 to that pubic bone, 3 and 9 on either side of the body. We're going to keep the rest of the body nice and still here. Nod the chin toward the neck, anchor it there, drop that breastbone down, and let's curl that pelvis. Pubic bone pulls toward the breastbone for 12 o'clock. Lengthen the pubic bone down toward those heels for 6. Curl to 12, lengthen to 6 with the goal of keeping that chin nice and still as the lower half of the body moves. Curl to 12. Lengthen to 6. Take it back to neutral. And with that upper body, rib cage and above, staying nice and still, we're going to rock our pelvis toward 3 o'clock. One hip comes up as the other floats down toward the mat, and then switch it. Opposite hip comes down, far hip comes up toward the ceiling, 9 o'clock. Rock it to 3, roll it to 9. As we take it side to side, we're going to think about drawing the belly gently down, and maybe we float our arms to the ceiling. Anchor those shoulder blades into the floor as we rock those hips side to side. Let's bring that pelvis right back to neutral. Keep that core engaged. And we're going to reach our shoulder blades up to the ceiling and down to the mat. Inhale into the ceiling. Wrap them around the front of the body. Lower them to the floor. Twice more. Reach to the ceiling. Lower those blades down. One final time. Reach those armpits up to the ceiling. Fingertips reaching toward those light fixtures. Lower those arms down to the mat. Or shoulder blades rather, down to the mat, and keeping everything else nice and still. Pay attention to keeping the back of the head, that middle back, and the sacrum right below the pelvis anchored into the floor. We're going to open those arms back overhead toward the wall behind us. Keep that middle back pressed into the floor. Keep that pelvis still. Keep that belly drawn down toward the spine. Inhale, arms up to the ceiling. Exhale them down to the floor in front. Repeat. Inhale, arms to the ceiling. Exhale them back overhead. Inhale, arms to the ceiling. Exhale them down in front. Inhale, arms to the ceiling. We're going to hold them right where they are, keeping that belly drawn down and that breastbone drawn toward the floor. We're going to bring one knee up to 90 degrees and that other knee up to mid tabletop. Let's hold here. If we are having difficulty bringing that belly down and away from the ceiling, down toward the floor, I do want you to bring your knees a little closer to your chest. That'll give that core a little more chance to activate and that back a little more chance to relax into the mat. We're going to arc our arms toward the mat, press the hands into the floor, and then bring the knees and ankles toward each other. Press them together. We're going to rock those legs side to side. Rib cage stays still. Shoulders, head and neck stay nice and still as those knees move on a nice stable upper body. Keeping the core drawn in, belly to spine. We should feel our side muscles working a bit to help us control that rotation. If we want to challenge it further, extend those knees, straighten them as best we can. Eventually, doing our best to get our way to a position where those feet can draw a straight line on the ceiling. Hands are down to counterbalance as we move those knees and legs side to side. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take those legs right back to the center, keeping that belly drawn down. Knees are as straight as we can get them with those thighs vertical. Hold it there. Let's hover our hands up off the floor and we'll pat those hands up and down like we're moving little tiny basketballs. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want you to keep that 5 breath in and 5 breath out pattern going. If we need to take a half step back, take some tension off, we can move back to tabletop. We could add a little kickstand by placing one or both feet on the floor. Conversely, if you want to make it more challenging, we come from that L position with the feet reaching the ceiling, and we extend those legs toward the wall in front of us. First where the wall and ceiling meet, and finally maybe a little further down the wall. Breathe it in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2 more breaths. Breathe it out. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last set of exhales. Pause here. Draw those knees all the way into the chest. Rock that body side to side, keeping the hands hovered off the floor. And then coming right back to center, we're going to hang on to that knee farthest from the chest. Give it a little hug as we slide our opposite leg out nice and straight. Keep the back of the heel, the back of that knee, and that glute pressed into the floor as best we can on the straight leg side. We're going to tighten up the front of that thigh and lift that leg to a hover point off the floor. Hold it there. Stretch those toes to the wall in front, and we're going to lengthen that leg side to side for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Keep it stretching toward the wall in front. Circle those toes. Move from the ankle joint. Circle for 2, circle for 1, and pause. Big breath in. As we exhale, we take it the other way. There's 4. There's 3, 2, and 1. Let's keep that leg stretched out in front as we lower it back to the mat. We're going to pull our bent knee gently across the body. Give it a little wiggle here. Feel that opposite side of the hip open up. Coming back to the middle, we hang on to that knee. Big breath in. Keep the belly engaged as we switch them up. Opposite leg pulls in. Slide that other leg out in front. Press the back of that knee, the back of the heel, and that glute into the mat. Big breath in. Exhale, keeping the belly in toward the spine. We're going to lift that foot up off the mat just to a hover point and take it side to side. If you want to keep your hand on that pelvis, that side of the pelvis, to make sure it's staying nice and still, go for it. Stretch those toes forward, and let's circle the wall in front of us. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pause, breathing in. As we exhale, take it the other way. 3, 2, and 1. Stretch forward to hover. We're going to hold here. Lower that leg down and pull that bent knee gently across the body. Give it a little wiggle. Feel the outer hip open up on the bent leg side. Pulling back to the center, we reset those shoulders back and down. Hover that straight leg off the floor. And we're going to switch legs. Take a big breath in. Exhale, switch. Pull the knee in. Press the opposite leg to hover. Again, inhale to center. Exhale and press. Inhale to center. Exhale and press. Your belly button staying drawn down towards your spine. Those hips and pelvises are staying as still as we can keep them. Let's switch it again. Pull and press for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Draw those knees into the chest. Rock that body side to side. Feel that low back massage itself out into the mat. Feel the upper pelvis massage itself into the mat as well. We draw those knees in again. Keep that belly drawn down away from the thighs, and we're going to lengthen out that leg closest to the screen all the way out along the mat. Press that thigh nice and tight. Keep that quad active. Hanging on behind the other leg, we're going to lengthen our leg up to a hamstring stretch. Feel the length from back of the knee all the way to that sit bone. And let's rock that ankle, flex and point. Point those toes, wiggle them side to side toward the screen and away. Get a little glide to those nerves on the inside and outside of that lower leg. Pointing the toes to the ceiling, big breath in. As we exhale, we float those arms up as well. And let's keep everything else nice and still as we draw a horizontal line on the ceiling with our lifted leg. Keep those bones in the back of the pelvis pressed into the floor. If it is helpful to have your hands on those hip bones to monitor, go ahead and do so. We're going to sweep through some circles. Reach those toes to your rafters. There's 4. Here's 3, 2, 1. Pause at the top. Exhale, belly to spine. If we want to increase the challenge on that trunk, we lift the other leg up to hover. And again, we circle. 4, 3, 2. Pause at the top. Let's pull that bent knee into the chest. Give it a little wiggle side to side. Big breath in. Exhale, switch them up. Opposite knee pulls in. Slide that other leg all the way out along the mat. Keeping that quad nice and active as we tighten our thigh. Let's hang on behind the other leg. Lift up into our hamstring stretch position and we'll flex and point. Wiggle through that ankle. Point the toes. Wiggle that ankle side to side. Lengthen out through those connective tissues surrounding the sciatic nerve and all its branches. Point those toes to the ceiling. Draw that belly down. Float those hands to the ceiling and drop the blades. Let's take our lifted leg out to the side and back to the center. Draw that horizontal line. Again, if you want your hands on those hip bones to monitor pelvic stability, you're welcome to do so. Take those toes to the ceiling. We're going to circle, reaching the toes up to the rafters. Here's 3. Here's 2. Last one this direction. Pause at the top. Breathe it in. Exhale. Keep that belly drawn down. Maybe we hover the other leg up off the floor for greater challenge. Let's circle the other way. Here's 4. 3. Last 2. And 1. Let's pull that bent knee, that straight knee back down to tabletop. Float the other one up to meet it in 90 degrees. Pretend we have something nice and valuable balanced on those shins as we lower our blades to the floor. We're going to press that belly down to the spine and hold it there. And let's arc our arms forward to the mat and press those hands into the floor. Draw the collarbones away from the center of the body. Feel them press away from that breastbone as we nod the chin toward the neck. Let's breathe in, extending our legs, bringing our feet to the ceiling. And we're going to breathe in one more time and exhale those feet away from each other. Make a nice wide V with those legs. Pull into those inner thighs. Let them lengthen away from each other. Inhale, feet together. Exhale, open to V. Inhale, feet together. Exhale, open. Inhale, feet together. One more time. Exhale, open. Inhale, feet together. Let's circle the ceiling. Each leg moves in opposite direction of the other. We're stirring those thigh bones in their socket. Maybe we make this harder by opening those hips up a touch to bring the feet a little closer to the wall in front of us. Maybe we take a half step back and bend those knees. Again, stirring those hips in their socket, but shortening the leverage on them. We're going to pause at the top, bring those legs to the ceiling. And as we exhale, circle the other way. Stir those legs for a 4. Find the challenge level that's working for you in terms of how far in front of your body those legs are, how straight those legs are. Good. One more circle. We're going to pause with those legs up to the ceiling. Bend the knees to 90 degrees again, and let's give those knees a hug into the chest now. Draw them right in toward the armpits on each corresponding side, and we'll rock that body side to side. Let's take a big breath in, and we'll take a big breath out. Take them right back to the middle. Hands come right to the kneecaps. We're going to guide those knees up right back to our 90-90 tabletop position. Keeping the core drawn in, belly drawn down to the spine. Let's reach our hands to the ceiling. We'll move through our diagonals now. Take that arm closest to the screen back overhead, and we're going to press our opposite leg forward to the wall in front. Start about halfway. If this is not challenging, lower that leg to a hovered position. Take it through center and switch it up. Again, we can start halfway up the wall, lower that leg as we want to progress. Switch it through, keeping this going. I want you to take it to the level where you feel like you're getting the greatest challenge that you can control your core through. That navel stays engaged. Those heels stay hovered gently off the floor or halfway up the wall. Switch them off for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's draw those knees into the chest. Rock that body side to side. And then pull right back to center, rolling the shoulders back and down. Hang on to those knees. Fold them right back up to tabletop. Arms come back to the ceiling. Flex those feet, pulling the toes toward the knees. Hold them there. Inhale. As we exhale, take one or both heels down while stretching the arms back. We'll inhale back to tabletop and exhale, open. Good job. Inhale to tabletop, exhale and open. Keep it going. If we want to challenge this further, straighten those legs to the ceiling. Exhale, open, feet forward, arms back. Inhale to the ceiling. Exhale and open. Inhale to the ceiling. One more time. Heels extend out in front, whether those knees are bent or straight. We inhale to the ceiling. We're going to bring those knees to tabletop, point the toes, take the feet hip width apart from each other, and let's float those feet down to the mat. We'll arc the hands down besides our bodies, and let's rock those knees side to side. There's 4. There's 3, 2, and 1. Let's take them right back to neutral. Knees, feet, and hips are equal distance apart, and we're going to inch our heels a little bit closer to our bottoms. We're going to press those heels into the floor. Let those backs of the pelvis just barely unweight from the mat. Belly stays engaged. Squeeze through those glutes. We're going to rise up to bridge. Find the height of your motion where we feel the glutes working, the stretch or lengthening out through those hip flexors, and some activity when we work on drawing the belly to the spine. I do not want you to feel your lower back. If this pulls into your back as we hold here, take it down an inch or 2 until we just feel those glutes and maybe the core. Lower back down with control to the mat. We're going to press and exhale back up to bridge. Lower with control, press to bridge. We're going to repeat here. If you want to challenge those glutes a little more, take those arms to the ceiling and drop your blades to the mat. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. We're going to press those hips to the ceiling and hold in there. Whether the hands are lifted or on the mat, keep those hips nice and still. We're going to take it up and down on our toes, lift and lower the heels. There's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe it in at the top. As we exhale now, squeeze those glutes, lift into the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Drop those hands to the floor in front, press them into the mat. And we'll exhale with control, bringing that pelvis down to the floor. Once those hip bones and pelvic bones reach the mat, we're going to relax our glutes and take those knees side to side. Rock them side to side, taking a big breath in. Rock them side to side, taking a big breath out. Take them back to the center, inhale. And exhale, belly to spine. We'll press back up to our bridge. Hold it here, this time pressing those hands into the mat. We're going to rock those hip bones between our 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock, or 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock positions rather. One hip to the floor, opposite hip stays lifted. Inhale, back up to a neutral. Exhale, lower the opposite hip. Inhale to center, exhale and rotate. Inhale to center, exhale and rotate. We'll take them side to side. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take it right back to the middle, breathing in. Exhale, bridge down. Release at the bottom. Keep those outer borders of the feet on the floor. We're going to rock our knees out to the side, lengthen out through the inner thighs. We'll exhale those knees back to the center and breathe it in again. Exhaling, draw the belly down. We're going to press up into bridge, and we'll finish our bridging series with marches through tabletop. Shift your weight away from the screen. First, we lift a heel, and then we lift up to tabletop if we can. The heel lift is perfectly fine in and of itself if lifting that leg up off the mat is not working for you right now. Our goal is to keep those hips nice and still, nice and steady. March it up and down. Switch for 4, for 3, last 2, and 1. Press those feet into the mat. We're going to take a big breath in. As we exhale, lengthen those kneecaps to the wall in front. Lower that body with control to the mat and release those glutes. Rock those knees side to side. Good job. Take them back to the center. We're going to cross one ankle over the other knee. If we have more slack to give, we can pull up into our figure 4, pulling that knee into the chest. We can rock away from that screen, away from that cross leg side, evolving the stretch, moving it a little more to the outside as we rock. Take it back to the middle. Let's unwind those feet, opposite ankle to knee. Lift to figure 4 as best you can and rock toward that screen. Again, evolving that stretch just a bit on the crossed over leg. Take it back to the middle. Let's pull those knees in, take our feet to the floor, and we're going to turn ourselves over to hands and knees. All right, once we're there, decide again if you need that padding. Set yourself up. We got the wrists and shoulders lined up, knees and hips lined up. Tops of the feet are pressed into the mat, and we're going to curl through our cat and cow positions a couple times. Just get that body ready to work in our new orientation. One more time, curl and reverse. Take it to neutral. Upper body stays still as we wag that tail side to side. Take it right back to neutral. We're going to keep that core engaged, and I want you to take one hand at a time back to your thigh. Take it back down, switch it up. Other hand comes up. Switch it again. Switch it again. Switch hand to thigh. Switch hand to thigh. That hand comes back down. We're going to move to shoulder taps. One hand comes to the opposite shoulder and then switch to the other side. If we keep that belly drawn up toward the spine, we should feel subtle differences in what part of our trunk is engaging as we bear weight on one hand versus the other. We should be feeling that core working a little more firmly on the side where we're pressing that hand into the floor. If we want to accentuate this, walk those hands forward, open up those hips toward the floor till we're in a partial plank on those knees. Maybe we come up into full plank. You decide. Thighs are nice and active. Knees are straight. If we're up in our full plank, we continue our shoulder taps, whether the knees are down, whether we're all the way in that all four position with the knees under the hips, or whether we're up in our plank. Last tap here, take those hands down. We'll move ourselves back to that knees right under hips position if we're not already there. And let's curl through cat one more time. Reversing the cow one more time. Take it back to neutral, hold it there. Squeeze and press through those shoulder blades. Squeeze and press. Squeeze and press. Squeeze and press. Repeat. Maybe we take it up to single arm. Square off those shoulders to the mat if we're on one hand. One more time on this side. Squeeze and press. Switch them up. Hand comes to the thigh. Squeeze and press. Shoulders stay level. Squeeze and press. Last one. Squeeze. Press. Let's take our second hand to the floor. We're going to reach that arm closest to the screen all the way out to the side. Follow it up, breathing in. Exhale that hand back down to the mat. We'll inhale, reach over it on the other side. Exhale, hand down. Reach and rotate. Exhale, hand down. Reach and rotate. Exhale, hand down. Rock the bottom back toward the heels. Inhale, back up tall. And we're going to slide that leg closest to the screen back, lift it up off the floor, reach the opposite arm forward, bird dog stretch. Switch to the other side. Reach, switch, and reach. Keep this pattern going. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit further along these lines, we can come up to a high plank. We could lift a foot up and down. We could lift an arm up and down. We could do both. We can stay right in our hands and knees orientation as we do one more lift on each side. Last one through. Hands come down. Knees come down if they've been lifted. We have one final curl. We have one final reverse out of that cat position. We come right back to neutral. Our feet come together. Take those knees apart. Let's draw the bottom down toward the heels. And we're going to slide those arms forward toward the wall in front of us, toward the front of our mats. Draw that forehead down. Look towards your toes. Hold here for a breath. Breathing out, wrap those shoulder blades around the front of the body. And we're going to walk our hands toward our screen. Pause, hand over hand in a slight side bend. We're going to breathe in and feel the opposite side of the body open up, side opposite where we're reaching. Breathing out, let's take our bodies through the middle and over to the other side. Again, we pause, hand over hand, take a big breath. Move it out, bringing those hands right back in front of us. Let's draw those forearms down, shift the weight over them, and let's take those legs back behind the body. We're going to rest on those upper thighs just as we were in the beginning of class, pressing our shoulder blades to the floor and drawing the belly up and away from that mat to support our low backs. Let's bend that knee closest to the screen. How close to the glutes can we get it? Straighten out and switch, nice and slow for starters. Try to keep that pelvis nice and still as we alternate our legs. Maybe we kick twice. Challenge that stability a little further with a quick motion. Kick, 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 and switch. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Straighten those legs out, breathing in. As we exhale, we're going to bring ourselves down just enough that we can take our hands right underneath those shoulders. Let's press ourselves back up to hands and knees. Find a towel roll. Again, if you do need a little extra padding, we're going to walk our hands back toward the knees, and we're going to bring ourselves up to tall kneeling. Do your best to line up the shoulders with the middle of the hip with those knees in a nice straight line. If we need to think about curling that pelvis gently toward 12 o'clock, pubic bone toward breastbone, go ahead and do it now. Let's lean back. Maybe one hand goes in front, one hand goes behind the trunk. Lean back into those quads. And then inhale up tall. Again, lean back into those quads. Inhale up tall. Let's rock back and forth here at a pace that's working for you. I want you to feel your thighs, but I do not want this to draw into your kneecaps. No sharp pains, just muscle effort. So if that means lengthening through a different range, that's okay. Good, we're gonna come up nice and tall with those hands on the hips. I want you to shift your weight toward the screen. Let's see if we can come up into a half kneeling. If you need the hands on the floor here to get yourself positioned, that's okay. We can still have padding under that back knee. Once we're settled, we'll press our heel into the floor on that front leg and take the hands right back to the hips. Squeeze that back cheek. Let's translate that front knee forward toward the foot. And then let's come up tall, press yourself back up to neutral. Translate that knee forward, glute squeeze, take it back up tall. One more time on this side. Take it forward, feel that hip open up in front on the back leg. And then we're gonna bring it over to our other side. We can come back through our half kneel to our tall kneel. Hands to the floor if you need more support. And let's reach that other foot forward. Opposite tall, half kneel. Hands can come to the hips. Curl that pelvis a little more if you need to. We're gonna squeeze our back cheek and bring that front knee forward toward our toes. Feel that back hip open up in front. And then we'll push ourselves back into that vertical alignment. Knee comes forward. Take that body upright. Twice more. Bring that knee forward. Take it upright. Last one, bring that knee forward. Take it upright. All right, we're gonna come back through our half kneel. Let's turn and face our screen. Adjust that padding again if you need it. We're gonna take our hands to the hips and keeping our hands right below that waistline, right above the top of those hips. We're gonna take one leg out to the side and drop down, squaring those hips off again. We should feel a stretch through our inner thigh. If we need to bring that foot forward a little bit to keep that hip from cramping, that's perfectly fine. Feel free to make the adjustment as we go. We're gonna breathe in here and then exhale, bring that body forward, lengthening out through the inner thigh on that straight leg. Inhale up tall. Exhale, hinge. Inhale up. Breathe those arms out to the side. And as we exhale, we'll side bend toward our bent knee. We'll inhale back up tall and exhale toward our straight leg. One more time, inhale up tall, exhale toward that bent knee. Pause here, pulse that leg up to the ceiling. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's come up nice and tall. Breathing out, let's side bend toward that straight knee. Reach those fingertips up to the ceiling. And then we'll come up nice and tall. Hands come right back to those hips. Let's take that knee right down next to the other one. Adjust your padding as you need to and lengthen the opposite leg out. Take it forward or back. Drop that hip into a squared off position. Big breath in. Exhale, let's hinge forward. Inhale up tall. One more time, exhale, hinge forward, lengthen out through that inner thigh. Inhale up, float those arms out to the side. And as we exhale, we'll side bend toward that bent knee. Inhale up tall and exhale, side bend toward that straight knee. Inhale up. Exhale and side bend holds. We're gonna pulse that leg. Here's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take it up nice and tall. Side bend toward that straight leg. Bring those hands right back to our thighs. Coming back through tall kneel, we're gonna roll our shoulders back and down, flip the palms to face the screen, and let's take those hands back toward the wall behind us, little shoulder extension. Squeeze those fingertips toward each other. Hold for 3, hold for 2, hold for 1. Arms come down. We're gonna make our way to a sitting position facing our screen. The feet are in front. We're gonna get our ankles and our knees together. I'm gonna inch a little bit closer to the front of my mat so I have a little more room for my rear end. Take those hands, place them right behind your butt, maybe out to either side. Fingertips are lined up with the back of the buttocks, back of the pelvis. If you do not want your fingertips facing forward, they can absolutely face out to the sides for this one. We're gonna press our elbows straight, squeeze our shoulder blades together. And if you still have a little more slack to give in the front of the body, inch those bottoms and those knees forward toward your heels. All right, find that stretch point. We're gonna send our breastbones up toward the front of the room, right toward that ceiling where it meets the wall in front of you. Take a big deep breath, feel that chest expand. And as we exhale, maybe we lift our bottoms. You're welcome to come up to reverse tabletop. You can also keep those hips on the floor. We have another big breath in here and an exhale. Last time, big breath in. As we exhale, we slowly lower those hips down if they've been lifted. Let's get off those hands, shake the wrists out a bit. And we're gonna make our way down to a side. Let's rest on that bottom arm, line those heels up with the sit bones. We're gonna lift up our waist a touch and press that top hand into the floor. Knees come up and down. Take them there for 4. For 3, breastbone faces the screen. There's 2. There's 1, knees come down. Let's take that top knee by itself, press it up and down. 3, 2, and 1. Take the knees down, lift and lower the feet. Keep that waistline up and stable. 2, hold them up there. Press that top knee up. 3, 2, and 1. Take the knees down, take the feet down. We're gonna hold here, stretch that bottom leg out straight, keeping your top toes right above that bottom knee. Let's take that top knee up and down. 3, 2, and 1. Back to hip height, fire hydrant lifts. There's 4. 3, shin stays moving at the same rate as that knee. Back to hip height, straighten the top leg out. We're gonna swing it forward, swing it back. Keep that pelvis still. Forward and back. Last 2, and swing. Last 1, swing it back, circle forward for 4. 3, 2, reverse it. Here's 4, 3, 2, hold it up there. We're gonna take that bottom leg up and down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take that top leg down, bend those knees up. Give your hip a little pat. We'll stretch our top arm toward the screen. Let's inhale that arm up. Look over that top shoulder as we exhale and bring that hand down toward the mat. We're rotating a bit through that upper body. Take it through a comfortable range. Inhale, arm up, and exhale it forward. Let's take ourselves up. We'll come over to our other side and let's repeat. Rest on that bottom arm. Bend up those knees. Draw that belly toward the spine and keep that waistline just a slight bit lifted as we press our hands into the floor. We'll lift and lower the knees for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring those knees down. Top knee presses for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Knees come down, lift and lower the feet. 3, 2, hold them up there, press that top knee up and down. 3, 2, and 1. Knees come down. Take the feet down, straighten that bottom leg out. Top toes press into the bottom knee. Take that top knee down and up. Keep that pelvis facing the screen. Here's 2. Here's 1. Lift the feet up. Take that top leg up and down through fire hydrant positions. 2, and 1. Back to hip height. Stretch that leg out straight. We're going to swing it forward. Swing it back. Try to keep it in the same plane as that floor. Forward and back. One more time. Swing it forward. Point those toes back. We're going to circle forward for 4, 3, 2, reverse it. We're almost there, guys. There's 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift that leg up. Bring the bottom leg up and down to meet it. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take everything down, bend those knees up. Give your hip a little pat, stretch that top arm forward. Inhale that arm to the ceiling. Look to your hand and exhale as we bring it back toward the mat, finding that rotational position. Inhale, arm up, and exhale forward. Nice work. Let's turn on our backs. We're going to draw those knees in, heels toward the buttocks. Let's rock those knees side to side. Take a big breath in. Take a big breath out. Take them to the middle, cross that ankle closest to the screen over the far knee. Lift to figure 4 if you have some slack left to take out. And we're going to shift our weight slightly away from our crossed over leg, moving the hip to the outer, stretch to the outer portion of the hip. Inhale to the center, and let's exhale as we switch our ankles. Opposite ankle to knee. Draw it in and rock toward that screen away from your crossed leg. Breathe in. Exhale back to the middle. We're going to unwind, take those feet to the floor. Stretch those arms back overhead, slide those ankles out nice and straight. Big breath in, reaching those fingertips and feet as far away from each other as we can. As we exhale, we pull those knees back in. Let's turn ourselves over to hands and knees. Draw the belly toward the spine, and we're going to walk our hands toward our knees. Shift our weight over to our feet. And once we're over the front of those ankle joints right where your shoelaces would be, We can take ourselves up nice and tall. All right, we will finish with a little balancing. So if you do want to find that stable object, a wall, a chair, a sofa back, a table to hold on to, now's a great time to do that. We're going to start with those feet lined up under our hips, just as we did in the beginning. We're going to lift our toes, spread them apart, and take them down one at a time. Press the big toes into the mat. Feel those arches stay lifted. Let's shift our weight toward our toes. Hover the heels off the mat, and we're going to take ourselves up and down on those toes. There's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shift the weight right back over the front of the ankle joints. Shake out those knees, and let's make our way to a heel toe standing position. Hold it there. If you want to complicate things a little, add those head turns. Look side to side. Keep pressing those big toes into the floor. Feel the wiggle. Feel those ankles work a bit. And look forward. Shift to the back leg. Lift up that opposite side. Find that single leg balance. And we can hold here. If you want to make it more challenging, look side to side. And let's look forward. Reach that crown of the head all the way up to the ceiling as we hold for 3, 2, and 1. Let's take that foot down. We're going to step into our heel toe position, opposite foot in front. Find that balance point, and then turn that head if we want to make it more challenging. How similar or different are your two sides? Just asking a question, something for you to think about. Shift the weight toward that back leg. We'll rise up into our single leg balance. Again, find something to hold if you need it. And again, if we want to progress it a little further, look side to side. We'll look toward that screen. Let's take our feet apart. We'll place them down on the floor. We're going to soften up our knees as we shift our weight toward our heels, and let's roll those shoulders back and down. There's 3. There's 2. And 1. Let's bring those feet together. We'll close with a big breath in, reaching those palms together, fingertips to the ceiling, and exhale in. All right, we made it. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy to have you all here, and definitely looking forward to doing it again next time.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank